Hey guys, this is Eric Weingartner with Weingartner Racing. Today's video is for you 440 Mopar fans. A customer sent this in. He wanted me just to flow the head and do a little review video so you guys can kind of see. So that's what I'm going to do. Here's what happened. So this is a 906 head. Put it better this way. Pretty common for you 440 Mopar guys. Pretty good head. It's cast iron, so this is a stock head. This isn't like the other stuff that I've done. And you'll have to forgive me on some of the Mopar stuff because I'm just not as familiar with the Mopar stuff as I am, say, the Chevys or even some of the Fords. Anyway, I have hand ported these long ago, but before someone asked, will you port these? No, I don't port cast iron. So he sent them to some place to have them CNC ported. Now I'm going to leave off the name just in case I do something that might upset them in the video by saying something. So I'm just going to leave them off. And I'll just give them my general impressions and I will flow them and I'll show you what they flow. So in case you ever decide, hey, I want to get a set of 906 heads, I want to get them ported, I wonder what they'll do, this should give you about an idea. So here's a couple things though. Who did this, and I do know who did it, they did a couple things that are really nice. From the factory, and I'm fairly certain on this, they have 3/8 stems. These are 11/32. The standard 3/8 is much bigger, so it takes up more area in the port, for one. Also, the valve's heavier. So what they did is they reamed out the hole and put in a bronze guide on both intake and exhaust. That's nice. That's a modern upgrade. Also made the valves 11/32, so they're smaller stem. If you're worried about strength, don't be. 11/32 is plenty strong for almost anything. So, but anyway, that also will help flow. However, right away when I look at this, there's something I wouldn't have done, but maybe there's a reason that I'm not aware of the reason why they did it. This is a radius valve job on the intake. So here's your seat, which is your top cut. It's radius. You'll notice there's no angles. I never put a radius on the intake, and there's a reason why. It will probably make the flow numbers, especially low lift ones, look better. So you're like, oh, win-win. That angle there, that's underneath, you have to have one at least angle underneath there. It's to break up the fuel. So it actually is for fuel distribution, like not distribution, but so much for wet flow, as when there's a ledge, that fuel, if there's any that's not atomized, will hit that ridge and kind of hang and then get re-atomized. When you have a rounder like this, the fuel just goes right in the port. So if it's not atomized, it doesn't burn well. So not something I'd have done, and I know other people do it to kind of boost their numbers, but this doesn't, it makes it look better on a flow bench, doesn't make any more power. So not what I'd have done, but I think I know kind of why they might have done it. If you notice, the port shape itself looks really weird, and you're going to say, wow, why isn't it perfectly circular? If you've never ported a set of cast iron stock heads before, you won't have any idea of this. On aftermarket stuff, we don't have water in between here. Stock heads usually have water between the intake and exhaust port. So on a normal head, we can make them perfectly round, make the bowl big. Not so. If you tried, you'd be in the water right here. So aftermarket heads, this is all solid through here, not on stock. So you can't have a round port. In other words, it's got to go like this. And I'm making it extreme so you can kind of see it. It's got to go this way, otherwise you'll be in the water. So if you look at it, it looks like the shape looks weird. Not really. They had to do this so that it wouldn't hit water. And the other thing is, I have to give them a huge amount of credit for even having a program for a stock cast iron head is extremely difficult. And I'm going to explain why. Whenever they port these and they come up with a program, it's a model. The next head, because these were cast such a long time ago and the casting qualities back then weren't always the best, core shift was kind of bad. Using the same model that you made, depending on how you did it, some heads will break through because it might be core shift. So you might be, I'm well away from the water on this head, but on the following head, because it's shifted over so far on the inside where the water core is, you can break through. So CNC porting stock cast iron heads, extremely difficult because you almost have to make everything smaller. So as I look at these flow numbers and you think this might not be as good, I want to keep that in mind. They can't make it, they can make it great for maybe one head, one cylinder, but on the other head, it may not be that great because you'd be in the water. And fixing cast iron heads is pretty tough. So anyway, I want to point that out. Not easy. Also, I think they did some of this stuff just to help customers think that they got, a better deal. Here's what I mean. This is the chamber. They CNC cut all this, as you could tell. The only reason why they ever would have done this was to make it look better for the customer. That is no added benefit. You're just taking away compression. So, but I know they did that so the customer wasn't like, oh my gosh, what's this? You didn't port my head. You said it was fully ported. It's not. That's why. And you can see some shadowing right here. And this is what I mean by core shift. Because you won't see it and say, like, it's not as bad as in that one. You can see a little bit here. So that's nature of the beast. So especially on a stock head, you're going to have those areas. But anyway, let's look at some of the port. Kind of show you. I'm going to lean it back and move my camera light here. There we go. There we go. Let's that one notch here. Sorry about that. There we go. Port actually doesn't look that bad. You could see spots where they didn't touch right through here. And this is most likely because he was trying to avoid water. Because again, there's water through here. So that's underneath here. And if you would make it right and could get it, you'll probably be really close to water and might be great for one head, but not the next. So there. Short side looks really good, nice shape, considering you have to work around this. Not bad at all. That's pretty good. It looks rough just because of that squarish thing there, but that's really because they're trying to avoid water. We can kind of see the exhaust here. And let me just bring that light up and around. There we go. You see also there, that's some shadowing here. Not a big deal. This does have a bit of a sharp edge. This is where you'd want the radius definitely on the exhaust. You always want a radius. You ain't got to worry about wet flow on the exhaust, but you do on the intake. So I would rather have that there. But maybe they did. They just didn't have an aggressive enough one for it, but that's different. So I would have put a radius here, not here. But looks nice. Looks nice. Definitely still hard to do. Super hard. So let me flip it around to a different view so you can see that view, then I'll flow it. Here we have a view of the intake ports from the intake manifold side. And this, it looks really, really nice. We did a really good job. As you can tell, you can see a little shadowing here. You kind of want to avoid breaking through here. We don't want to have that happen. That's a no bueno. At least you can kind of epoxy that. You're not in the water. You just got to deal with oil. But you can see some shadowing here. Definitely probably water through here on the short side. So getting this at all, what a risk. You guys are brave. You did a good job. But anyway, there's that shape so you can see it. Looks nice. Let me turn down the light just one more notch. There you go. Might get a better view. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to show you the exhaust real fast, then I'll flow it. Here's a view of the exhaust ports. I'm going to try to guide the light so you can see better. There you go. Not bad. Again, it looks a little weird on this corner. If I can get the light to hold still at the same time. Excuse me for just a minute. There we go. See how it looks a little weird here? So the light's not the best, and I have to forgive me. There we go. Again, water. So you would typically have a different shape, but to avoid hitting water, that's the reason for that. Now, there's something else I want to point out before I flow this. These are the valves that came with it. That's the intake, that's the exhaust. That's a 214 intake valve. That's a 1810 exhaust valve. This is a no bueno for me, for sure. There is no back cut on the valve. See, that's all the seat angle. So you might say, so if you put a back cut on there, it typically helps a low lift flow. So that radius valve job, typically that helps low lift flow too. This, having no back cut, actually favors high lift flow. So like 600 up. So if it was me, I would take a 30-degree back cut and put it on there. So after lapping it in, I'd bring that back cut all the way to it. So that, if it was me, I would do that. Nothing wrong with this. I just prefer to have a back cut. I'm fairly certain it makes more power, and it would help out your flow numbers at low lift. Now, I haven't flowed it yet, so who knows. But anyway, I'm going to now put it on the bench, and we'll see how good it is. Maybe one more thing to mention, because this actually gets asked a lot, and it's more from the four-cylinder guys. So, and I just spotted this, and I thought, man, maybe I just should talk about that a little bit. You see the guide? If you look, I'm trying to get the camera. It sticks up above the vane here that they created, which, by the way, good job. Good job, really, because that's nice. So anyway, one of the things people keep asking is, should I cut the guide down so it sits flat with four-cylinder guys with the 4 valves? They always ask, should I cut the guide down so it's flat with the top of the roof? The answer is yes and no. So in this case, you could get away with cutting down this guide to where it gets to that height right here. So it's the same. That would actually probably help out flow a little bit. Now, why could you do it with this and not other scenarios? Here's the reason why. On a 4-cylinder, it's horrible because this guide, the reason why I say you can cut it down is because the guide's so long. So it gives me more contact area with the valve itself. Now, if I cut it down a 1/10, it's not so bad. On 4-cylinders, you guys have like that much guide, like really, really short. So you cut it down even further, there's nothing holding the valve. So what happens is when you cut it down like that, oh, you absolutely might increase CFM, a few CFM, and I mean a few, not a lot, not like you're gonna gain 20, ain't gonna happen. But what you will do is, because there's less holding the valve, it wears out the valve and then wears out the valve, sorry, not wears out the valve, wears out the valve guide because there's very little holding it and it can flex back and forth and wear it out real easy. And then that wears out the valve job and then the engine makes less power anyway. So it's a bad idea to cut down guides all the way as far as you can because there's really less holding the valve, less stability. It's going to wear out faster. If you have a longer guide like this, where there's ample amount anyway, cutting this down a little bit, not a bad idea. Same thing with the exhaust. On this one, you probably could cut it down probably about 100 thou. It wouldn't be a big deal because that guide, look how long that guide is. I mean, I don't know if the camera's going to catch it. That's really long. So it's got enough room to do it. When the guides are short, absolutely cannot do it. So for instance, on the 10XRI heads, I learned that. It's a small block Chevy head. That has no vein like this or material around that to hold it. So it's just the guide sticking out. So I had cut it down quite a bit. And guess what? Wear out the guide, wear out the valve job in relatively quick amount of time. So having this in definitely makes your longer, helps your valve job last longer and your guide last longer. So it's a beneficial thing. You can, in this case, cut it down. But in most cases, you cannot. So anyway, now I will flow it. Okay, I just got done flowing it. And this is flowed on a 44010 bore. Now, I know that's not what some of you guys, Mopar guys, are running. That's the only bore size I have for this Mopar plate. So the reason with the 44010 is because that's really common in the big block Chevys. So when I ordered, I didn't have to get a new bore. I just ordered a new plate. So saved on cost when I first did it. I've only done a handful of 440 Mopar stuff, period. So anyway, point being a 44010 bore. Let's look at the flow numbers. Now, I also flowed it without an exhaust pipe. Here are the numbers. So we have 236 at 4. I'm telling you, if you'd done a back cut, this would have been higher, probably in the 240s. And then it goes, peak is like really here. It looks at 5. It was, well, it goes at 277 at 7. But really at 5, it's 276, but it's climbed about 550, and then it started reversing flow, and that's why it dropped down here. But it actually peaked a little bit higher, and I tried capturing it, but this bench reacts so quickly that once it goes turbulent, it's really, you almost have to be super quick to catch it so you can get a number in between. But it cracked 280, and as soon as I went to press record, it kept giving me these numbers. And that was at 550, so I just gave up. So anyway, 275 at 6, and then about the same. So pretty much it stalls right there. The exhaust side, there is no short side height on these exhaust ports. Not the guys porting it, whoever did this is fault. There isn't anything in the casting. So hence the numbers down low are they're just not very good. 169. And I shouldn't say not very good. It's not very good for what most people need. But for what this is, this head, it is pretty good. And I'll show you an example in a minute. It peaked at 213. So I'm not knocking this head because actually this is really good. I'm going to show you how good it is in just a minute. But the numbers are really good. I think if you did a back cut, these numbers right here would pick up, especially the 5 one. So this numbers here would probably drop about 3 CFM, but this would probably gain about 8. So, but anyway, really good for what it is. It is very good. And here's how good. So remember, I didn't do a whole lot of these, but I want to show you. This was from 2011. I ported a 906, so yeah, or 902. I used to actually port cast iron heads. I no longer, period. So I did this for a customer, 43010 bore. And if you look at it, from this head, for me porting it, 229, they're 10 CFM better almost here. And then we're about the same at peak. I mean, I'm a little bit lower. I mean, peak, yes, But you could tell at 239 compared to this one. I mean, that's really good. So what I'm trying to say is it's significantly better than that. But I've got another one too. This is something else. The same customer that sent me this one also sent me, trying to get it. I think, by the way, this is 3/8 valve stems. I didn't change them on that one. This is a 452 casting. And if you look at that, it's 237 at 4. So it's about the same as that, actually. But nowhere else near that. It's down from that. And exhaust flow is also down pretty good from this. That's a 452 casting. That was completely stock. Nothing changed. Now, check this out. If you go back and look at my videos, you might have saw the 440 source head. That's this one. This one's CNC ported as well. Now you can compare it to a stock one that's been CNC ported. So let's just go ahead and compare for fun. As you can tell, it's about 20 CFM better. That had a back cut. This one did and that one didn't. 206, you can see it much better there. 235, 236, the stock casting beat it there. At 276 on the stock casting versus 262. That was actually better. And then you look 273 at 6, 275. It's better than the source head until you get to right about 7. Then we have 284 to 277. So for some of the points, it's better. Now the exhaust, it's just not at all. So, and the reason why is obviously it's an aftermarket casting. You don't have to worry about the same mistakes as this. Especially with the water in between, so you can make the bowl itself different and shape it differently. But that's pretty close to that with a stock old casting. It's pretty good. So, as you guys might know, I'm not a huge Mopar fan, so I don't have all the knowledge on those. It's something many of you do. And not that I hate Mopars or something like that. I don't want to make it. I just, point being is I don't have near the knowledge on Mopar stuff as I do others. But I will say, if you look at these two numbers, especially what I know about porting cast stock heads, that's really good compared to this one, which is an aftermarket. Both are CNC ported. So not bad. Anyway, hopefully it gives you something to chew on. Remember, I'm no Superman. You guys take care.